Good evening to everybody, to the participants of the master's course, PG Law course. Then the topic that I am going to deal and day before yesterday, part 1, yesterday part 2, and today is a part 3, how to write the research proposal. So today is the last session or the round, which is set to be the third round. Anyone can unmute and read what I posted on the screen? Participants. Anyone can unmute and read what I posted on the screen? Yes? Okay. I think there is a problem, it seems. That's why that nobody is reading. Okay, come, let me read only. Good evening to the students of the masters who are going to write the research proposals in the final year. Now, once the first year examination is over, then naturally that you will be in final year. Presumption is that. Yes, Professor Dr. Mohammed Saheb Hussain, Professor of Law, School of Law, St. Augustine University of Tanzania, Mwanza, Tanzania and East Africa. Yes, let us, without wasting the time, then let us go to the point our study is concerned. Yes, and we dealt in the first class, part 1, regarding the introduction that we dealt it, and later on that we dealt also the background to the problem, and we just initiated the statement of the problem in the first session, that is the part 1. In the part 2 yesterday, that I started from the statement of the problem with all its ingredients, what should be the present over there, with the example and with the bullet points that I narrated, and you can just watch that because watching that you will not get that much impact, only that you will get that 25% to 45%, but when you participate it, you will get the full percentage of the impact would be there. So, and the second round that I made it a statement of the problem, then we went to the significance of study, objective study, general objective, and specific objective. Then I started a little bit about the literature review in the yesterday class. And today class that I would like to deal from the literature review and how it can be written, literature review is concerned. We need not to write just the person has said like this, this person has said like this in his book, in his journal, in his thesis, in his article, in his report. In addition to that, you have to say that he explained in that way, but now the researchers would like to go in a different manner because he did not cover a particular aspect of it, that now the researcher is going to cover that aspect, which is the lacuna would be there in their work, and that lacuna will be fulfilled so that it will be have an impact on the legal system or the change in the legal system. So literature review, then I told you there is a theoretical reviews there in a class, and there is a operational review, there is a practical review also there. In the operational review, in both the reviews are concerned that what we are going to achieve it, and the only one point is very much clear that he did not do it, and that another researcher want to cover that area, that should be very much explicitly written over there in the literature review. After the literary review, only that hypothesis come, that I told you already that yesterday Chupi example, the same thing will be applicable here. When you say the hypothesis, and generally we can say the main objective is said to be the first hypothesis, and the specific objective is said to be the second, third, and fourth hypothesis. But I also mentioned the research questions in my work because the research question is nothing but the variables of the main hypothesis. In other words, specific hypotheses are specific objectives is set to be the research questions. And the specific objectives are set to be the research question, which I highlighted it and which I made it in my work. There is a joint author work which I am dealing now, the article which is published in India in one of the journals. So I gave an explanation regarding what are the research questions should be there. Research questions always ends with the question mark, but whereas the hypotheses are concerned, it never ends with the question mark. And moreover, the hypothesis will not be never with a paragraph. It will be hardly one sentence, at the most 2 sentences, or the 2.5, but not in any case the 3 full. So that would be the hypothesis. And when you represented the hypothesis, I already told you that a Roman small one with the arrester. You should have to write it, and it ends with the semicolon. The second Roman 1, 2, and arrester. Then the second hypothesis, which is said to be the specific objective of the first, it will be turned into the second hypothesis in the hypothesis side heading. So in any case, a student should have to keep in mind there would not be more than 3, at the most in the fourth one. But in any case, you should not need the fifth one. Otherwise, he will be fishing in the troubled water and he cannot justify it and he cannot make it out. It become a bulky one, and there are many chapters are there. But the most favorable and a decent way is chapter 5, at the most chapter 6, but never chapter 7. Is it clear? Is it clear? Say yes. I think that you have some Matanda problem there. Internet problem, it seems, that's why I could not get the answer from you. So these are the things which I made it. The researchers, while formulating his or her research study hypothesis, may, for the instance, indicate the aspect of the hypothesis that the plural form of the hypothesis is hypothesis. The spelling of the plural form is hypotheses. Singular form is hypothesis. That is the thing to have to make it out. So I made it very much clear that how it can be written, the hypothesis, what will come the first, what will come the next, and always it should become after the literature review only, because at that time only you can know what would be the assumption. Unless until you have the knowledge of it, where various author on your topic, you cannot make any assumptions or presumptions in the hypothesis. Then comes, I told you the research questions already. It is nothing but the specific objectives in one way, in another way. And the research methodology is concerned, yes, every work will go with the research methodology. How you lead it, how you proceed it. So that is the, I mean, generally in the log, we observe the, not the quantitative, but the qualitative assessment that we could do it, if I have not been mistaken. Yes, and recalling the what stated very earlier, that in conducting the research or study, it is not only a matter of have gathered a lot of information and have enough knowledge on the matter of the which the researcher intends to conduct the research. Rather, it is a matter of applying the knowledge the researcher has. Substance is the proper methodology required in the research study. In this respect, where the researcher effectively apply the methodology he wishes to apply, the appropriately is the inevitable thing to do, and it depends upon the topic which you have chosen. So now let us see the general things. In adapting this part wall, the following components should be considered. What are the components should be considered in the research methodology? Number 1 bullet. Anyone can unmute and read? The first bullet is the researcher should indicate why the chosen method are used in the research study. Because depending upon that thing which is favorable, whether doctrinal research, non-doctrinal research, or empirical research, and how it can be done, group sampling, or the particular group will be the, always try to be less. Don't make the group of 20, or make the 14, 4 or 5, or that will be quite good, so that each and individual opinion could be expressed over there. And second one, it is indicating the various stakeholders relied upon while conducting the data used in the research studies, such a police department is there, advocates are there, other judicial officers are there, which are very much useful to them. And the third one is the researcher should also indicate type of the data he or she could wish to collect while conducting the research study, how he will collecting the data and how he can manage it. These things should be coming to the picture. And the next bullet is, that is the fourth bullet is, the researchers may adopt the qualitative and quantitative method. It depends upon the topic. The topic generally they will say that not the quantitative, but generally we follow the qualitative research. In other words, there is the library research and field research and empirical research. In empirical research, we will go to the fields and make the interviews, either observation in the form of the questionnaires or in the form of asking the questions without any questionnaires. But the question should be not in yes or no forms. It should be explanatory. It means the respondent will be given the free time to express the idea regarding a particular question which is posed by the researcher. The sampling method, the sample size, the method employed in the research instruments and the research design and observation will always be present in the research methodology to testify the hypothesis as well the research questions. But we don't use the research questions as we say that it is outdated one, and we will use only the hypothesis in the side heading. To sum up, the most of the legal research is library based. It is their documentary research. In other way, it means relying on information that already exists, such books or journals or articles, case reports, legislations, treaties, and historical records. Some of the studies, however, they might require the use of the field work and empirical data will be needed because of getting the latest information from the people. That is, gathering information through the direct interaction with the people and process it, such as the interviews, questionnaires, and schedules. Are the code observations, are the researcher observations, and ethical values should be followed over there, discussing the literature review while asking and preparing the questionnaire as well as the scheduled time. Because sensitive questions will not be asked over there because they will feel shy to give the real opinion over there to the question. Now the limitations are concerned. Say when you go further, then you will come across whatever the hindrances or impediments or hurdles that you are going to face in it. So that would be come on the limitations. Regarding the scope of the study is concerned, yes, the study, how far it is related to a particular person or the country or the students or the academicians or the advocates or I mean say practitioners. So now let us see the geographical limitation where the research study is going to cover. So we cannot make it out a wide study, better we can make it the case study of a particular region or the territory, we can fix it. On that we can make it the minute research over there and comes with a good result which will be the very, very much useful to the student and the practitioners and the scholars as well as the nation, including the international also. So research questions, how it can be framed, it depends upon the topic that you have taken it. Never frame the questions in yes and no answers. So besides the issues of these research questions in such a research proposal has also been a very problematic and confusing aspect to the majority of the researcher and academic personnels in particular. So now the research question has to be omitted in case when the researcher has used the hypothesis, meaning thereby that the hypothesis and research question cannot be used simultaneously. I already told you that. Either you use the research questions or you can hypothesis. But research question is outdated, better use the hypothesis. That is the best method to make it like that. So research question is simply to change the particular hypothesis from a tentative way. I have already made it very much clear. And an example also you will given that the teacher is unjust because of various other factor. They are setting an examination question in the examination paper or marking the examination papers and awarding the marks and scores of the examination, etc. Then I get the various variable. Regarding the research methodology is concerned, yeah, where you have gone? Yeah, research should be indicated. Research may be adapted the qualitative and quantitative depending upon the topic which you have taken and limitation and scope of the study that we made it very much clear. And let us see the what are the other things will come into the picture when you say the. So one of the bullet I indicated here is the. Yes, read anyone can read what is that bullet which I made it in the limitation and scope of study. The participants. Yeah, the limitation of the study. Yeah, any financial limitations that the researcher is expecting to face the in the course of the conducting the his or her research, and that depth of literature, gray area would be there. That is the second bullet, and third bullet is any other limitation other than the limitation stated above that is likely to may implement sometimes no when the sensitive information would be there the people are not, the respondents are not going to give it and they will not declare it, so that is also another limitation. And a confidentiality of the interviewers, and sometimes they will express the opinion, but they will say that please don't disclose our names because they feel embarrassed or somebody will tamper them or somebody will threaten them. The sensitive issues which is tamper the person modesty, dignity and conduct, just now I referred it, and non-cooperation interviews in a certain topic of research because of this social stigma or social taboo or blame. And the last point is the scope is very important part of this research as it provides a layout that guides the writers, eventually the readers in addressing the work. So the scope is different and limitations are different. The scope will give what would be the scope of that particular thing and how it can be useful to the society in general. So these are the aspects we will come into. Of course, it depends upon the university to university. The guidelines may be vary, but it depends. Generally, a general principle would be there. The formalities is a common, except one or two will be the variation will be there in the sequence. And when you come to the matter of the time and research progress in financial tables and framework, yes, if it is a sponsored research where the stakeholder has given you the money to do the continue the research, or any NGOs or foundation has given the money to continue the research in a particular field, in that instance, we have to make them the time frame and the research progress from time to time, and what the financial commitment would be there, either in the form of the stationery or in the form of the electronic photocopying center, photocopying machines, or in the computers, and engaging the apprenticeship for the going to the fields for getting the data, that is empirical research, direct to face that he will ask the questions and get the information from them. So this table is very much essential. Are you following me? Yes, give me the answer. Oh, today is a but that is so long, the problem. So this is the time frame is the progress is there, and that I already made very much clear to you. The research progress, financial tables and framework. Next point is chapterization. Yes, you have to deal generally the research proposal that is going to be or turned to be the first chapter. Next chapterization, how it can be done. In general, research work will run into the chapters. The first one on the introduction brings out the importance of the study and the state of the objective of the hypothesis, also include the methodology and limitation. This comes being the first chapter. Next chapter will certain previous reviews, history of the problem, and the quick look in the subjective well-being well be carried out. The other chapters will be methodological part of the study. It depends upon the type of the study. Social science and science or arts or commerce. So depending upon the type of the or what I meant to say, study and a branch of the faculty, it varies generally. So analysis and discussions to be done and the findings and conclusion will be always the recommendation of the last chapter, and further research will be presented in the last chapter, followed by the bibliography, then followed the references plus appendices or annexes if any. Or sometimes the last chapter also considers it is a overall view or overall introduction, next the conclusion, next the recommendation, the last point is way forward also. Some people will make it out. Then the bibliography, from where that you have chosen the, generally people say the selected bibliography or bibliography. In bibliography, when you want to make it out, and first and foremost, you write the books, next journals, next you can say the reports or theses or dissertations. Then we can go further in sometimes if any good editorial is given over there in the newspaper, yes, that will be authentic, provided the reporter would be a highly classed one or marked the notable author. Then websites and what are the internet sources that you made. So these all these things should be in their bibliography under the each side heading alphabetical order. What order? Say What order? Alphabetical order. So that is the way that you have to make it out in a bibliography and selected bibliography. Is it clear? Say yes. Okay. So now let us see how we can move further, because bibliography and selected bibliography, we made it very much clear. Yeah, next point comes annexers. Yeah, after the bibliography, selected bibliography, then you can say annexers or appendix. So in annexers or appendix cannot be submitted without the main copy. The aim of the appendix is to add the greater details, visual and examples for the better understanding of the main copy. The annexer, however, is different from the appendix in that it can be considered without the main text. So it cannot be added to the main text, but still has importance as regards to the original copy is concerned. Yes, the questionnaire should be included over there. And sometimes even enactments also included over there in the form of annexer. So next, after the annexer and appendixes, then the matter comes to the conclusion. The research is a continuum. It will not be stopped. It is the perennial. So, yeah, it is moved further. Okay, let me go up. Yeah, scrolling down. Yes, it is a continuum. Legal research and methodology is a compulsory paper for both the undergraduate and postgraduate students as well as the PhD scholars. Both traditional universities and the National Law University of India are abroad, and specialized university where the honors are there. And in other countries, the LLB would be the 4 years course, and some countries it is the LLB 3 years course. In the same country, sometimes it's the 4 years course and sometimes the 3 years course, depending upon the public university or the private university is concerned. So, forming the research proposal might serve as a starting point for the report and project and dissertation and PhD thesis. The research proposal is not a fixed blueprint. Of course, it will be changed depending on the very other factors are concerned. There is no fixed formula for writing the research proposal. Only acceptable guidelines are there. That is, hints are stated to write or develop the research proposal. Every research proposal is designated based on the topic of research. It is always very much clear that it based on the topic, the way you have to collect the data, the way the research methodology should be followed over there, and how you can navigate, how many chapters we can make in chapterization also. So based on the universities, rules and regulations or guidelines, it also depends, because some of the universities they will use the American Psychological Association, that is called APA style of the referencing, and some of the university MLA Modern Language Association, and some people 18th edition blue book or 19th edition blue book. But in generally, either in Asia or in Tanzania or the African continent, we can use mostly the referencing style is Turabian cum Chicago style, or the combination of the Chicago and Turabian style that will use it in when you are making the footnotes or endnotes are concerned. But the old fashion is the endnotes, but the new method is the footnote, where we can directly go to the footnote and see from where did you are extracted or taken the information. Otherwise, it leads to the what? Plagiarism. Anyway, plagiarism, depending upon the university, 10% will be allowed, 15% will be allowed. But in my view, at least 10 to 15% fluctuation would be there. Otherwise, we cannot make it out, because sometimes we can use the quotation as it is, which is said over there. Of course, quotation is having the exemption. It will not come under the plagiarism, because the way he quoted the author, that same thing should be mentioned. Am I right? Say yes. So now finding the right material is a very important step, because knowing what to look for and make or break. That point is said, look for can make or break, both are things, the resulting document. Finding the law is an important part of the legal research, and but the ability to analyze what researcher has found and reach a conclusion or formed an agreement based on its just and essential. So the proper research strategy and a pre-research planning are also an important factors in legal research. I have given the detailed things in my article, but the gist is the researcher is more familiar with the resources available. The faster researcher can develop his strategy, and the more effective it will be. Qualitative research may be doctrinal, not doctrinal. Generally, we will say qualitative research, while quantitative research is a non-doctrinal. When you go for the non qualitative is mostly the non-doctrinal research would be there. So that is made it very much clear. And other points also that I made. The law is constantly changing. The decisions of the apex code show fluidity of the legal doctrine. Because sometimes no, the same, for instance, the apex code here, the CA, that is the Court of Appeal, it can it can give the judgment which is already given earlier, and they can overrule it. So overruling power will be given for the high courts and the Supreme and the Court of Appeal, which is the apex court of the country. Even when there is a decision of the apex court, split decision of the court make it difficult to determine how the next case will be decided. In many areas, there are the conflicting decisions and no binding authority, then researcher would know which law or other jurisdiction can apply, creating analysis to the existing case law or create an argument. So when the law is silent over there, the researchers may take the example of the different countries and make the comparative statement, and it will make it very much clear that the lacuna would be there in the domestic law, and when you compare with the foreign law, hence that will be incorporated in the acts or enactments of the country. So now the conclusions are there, then we'll come to the recommendations. You want to make it out, okay, it should be in this manner, it will be helpful. And there is a gap would be there, and the gap would be fulfilled by this way. So that will be the recommendation, or we can say suggestions. The researcher's greatest challenge might be the narrowing the topic either in the title or in the abstract research or research proposal. The title of the research proposal is the most important in determining how many people will read it. The good researcher proposal title should be typically around 10 to 12 words. Note the point. You should not exceed, the title of the research is 10 to 12 words. You cannot write a paragraph also, even 3 lines also. At the most 1 line in the 1.5 line, then we can come the 10 to 12 words. Avoid using the acronyms ADR. Better write the title, Alternative Dispute Resolution. And don't acronym, no initials, no contractions, no shadowings should be allowed in the title of the proposal. A striking topic or title should be in a research proposal. And your title should be such in a way it will attract the reader to read your work. Our readers get all the details of the research proposal in the abstract itself. Yes, that is the gist of it. Face is the index of the mind. In the same manner, abstract is the index of that entire work. Am I right? Okay, now the time to know or proceed to know about the legal reasoning. What would be the legal reasoning? It should be very much clear. And the scientific methods, concepts, theories, and sociological plus interdisciplinary research, yes, law and sociology, law and economics, and the law and philosophy, law and medicine, medical jurisprudence. Yeah, I say continue. So these are all the factors should be there where we can make the interdisciplinary work also, because that shows the pragmatism, the practical way of the useful for the society, rather than only for getting the degree for the award of the PhD or LLM dissertations or LLM degree in the form of dissertation which you submit in the LLM, and the thesis you could submit in the PhD, the Doctor of Philosophy. Now the time to know or proceed to know about the legal reasoning, scientific method, concept, theory, sociology, plus other things. And the researcher should state clearly how researchers research proposed will contribute to the existing research in the literature review. How it will be a new idea in the existing literature review, because the way that angle that you are doing is entirely different from the angle which the other authors did it. There is never any hard and fast rule or path, because every research finds its own way for getting the data and compiling and presenting it also. So researchers choosing the different paths for the same research questions may be equally successful, but generally there will be accepted norms are there, and that norms one should have to follow it. Then only it will be a good research will come out into the picture, which will be the useful to the society, nation, practitioners, students, academicians, and the judges. The hypothesis should be tested properly on the research proposal is accepted. The research either writer specific objective or writer research questions in the research proposal and tries to avoid using the both side headings like the research proposal. I mean, in the research proposal, don't write it both of research questions and hypothesis. No, you use only one. That is a very good way of writing. There should be a good research strategy which is based on the good research methodology. So, how you make a strategy and how you evaluate it, it depends upon the methodology that you are using it. The more familiar researcher are with the resource available, the faster researcher can develop his or her strategy, and the more effective it will be. So, the planning, strategy, methodology, sharpness, quickness, and grossness, and presenting, these are all the factors or components should be there for getting the good result of the research. In entire research work, ultimately, of referring that should be adopted or followed with a set, namely, entire work Thurabin style of the referencing or the blue book referencing, the proposal should be between the 1500 to 2000 words, excluding the bibliography. So there is a limitation also given over there. How many words should be there in the research proposal? It is 1500 to the 2000 words should be there, but excluding the bibliography. Is it clear? Say yes or no. Okay. So the proposal should be, I told you that 1500 to the 2000 words and it should not exceed and excluding the bibliography. Researchers should give some thought to any ethical or safety issues that may arise in respect to the field work in particular. So ethical thoughts should be there. We cannot approach near a house without knocking the door or ringing the bell, and we should stand it till we will get the here. Okay, get in or come in. Until that extent, we will stand outside. If the time will not permit you, okay, you can go to the next door. But without the consent of the respondent, you are not supposed to enter into the premises. It's the ethical values. If the girls are there, minors are there, old women are there, and if you are a young man and the young girls also there, naturally there should have to be a certain restriction would be there when you are going to get the information from them. And of course, your targeted group is always, you will make it very much clear that the target group is either the professionals or skilled people or the villagers, depending upon the topic that you have taken. That is the very important fact. So these are the points that I would like to share it today in the part 3. And part 1, I already dealt it day before yesterday, part 2 yesterday, and part 3 today. And these are the various ways and modes and guidelines to write the research proposal. How many words should be there in the research proposal in general? Participants? I told you very much clearer. 1500 to 200 words should be there. 2000 words should be there. And your title of the research topic, not more than 10 to 12 words. Is it clear? Say yes. Is it clear? Why this hand is coming? I don't know. I did not put the hand over there. but it automatically it comes on the screen. Yes, participants, see that I made my effort to see that my students, those who are masters, they should not run from pillar to post for getting the guidance how to write the research proposal. With that intention, with that motive, I started these classes as usual from 9:10 to 10 o'clock of the local time. But now the time is roughly, it is 9:49, if not be mistaken. Yes, still video in your hand, 10 minutes roughly. And if anything that you would like to ask me, you can ask so that I could give the reply to you. And in all respect, what I want to say is a format is very much important factor. Each research, depending upon the topic and whether it is a social science research or the science research or the medical research or the engineering research, that you have their own standard of format. We are discussing where the legal research is concerned, it is having its own format. Sometimes a little deviation would be there, but the deviation is must because there will be a justification in the deviation. So, general principles are the same. Even the referencing is also the same. Depending upon the reference that you are going to use it, and it depends upon the country to country or the university to the university. But general framework is very much important factor. And when you are using the electronic mode as a reference, please try to avoid Wikipedia because it is anyone can edit it. So that it will not be a authentic or more official information, but try to take the information from the organization which is held responsible for it. Instead of hearing from the people, better you can hear from the horse mouth. I repeat, instead of hearing from the intermediate people, better you hear from the horse mouth. It's the phraseology. What it means? Anyone? Let me hear from the horse mouth. What it conveys? Can you manage the horse? It's a phraseology. Let me hear from the right person and who is a competent person to make such a statement. That is the phraseology meaning. Let me hear from the horse mouth. So now, in the same way, sometimes we can use phraseology, and which is very predominant, and the maxims also we can use it, depending upon the factors that you want to support it. And these are the techniques one should have to adapt it, and I'm sure it will be a fruitful research proposal. But anyway, but still there would be a lacuness or the drawbacks are there. But those drawbacks or the errors are negligible in nature. But try to be error free. That would be the important factor. If you think about the A plus, at least you will get the A, B plus. If you aim at that B plus, then you can get the B. If you aim at the C or B plus or C, then you will get the D. So better aim the good one and try to use the same efforts, proportionate efforts to achieve such a target. And that is a very important factor. Yes, anything to be asked, still we do have some at least 5 to 7 minutes in our hand, and I can make it very much clear. But I already told you that when you are writing the heading should be capital letters and all bold, and there would not be no underline and no any punctuation at the end of the heading. And always heading comes in the center of the page, and subheading also comes below the heading. Like for instance, we say chapter 1. CHAPTER chapter -ONE1. That is the heading. And what is the subheading? Anyone? What would be the subheading? The subheading may be a general introduction. Beneath the chapter 1. And when your matter comes to the side heading, would be the left hand side. When you write the chapter 1 in the words ONE1, at that instance, it's more better to write. Of course, one will not come without a zero. So, either we can start with 1.0, it is preferably well, because every Arabic numeral starts with the 0 only, 0 to 9. So, 3.0, you can say introduction, because subheading is general introduction, and this is introduction. And where the introduction, I told you already that how and what components should be present in the introduction, and which I explained in the first day, that the part 1. And I already posted part 1 and part 2 into your email. That's the YouTube link. And now this part 3 also I am going to make it out. First I edit it, then I will upload in the YouTube. And again, I will send the same link to you so that you can enjoy part 1, part 2, and part 3 of how to write the research proposal. Yes, when you're coming back to our side heading is concerned, I told you that when chapter 1 is there, 1.0, it will start and it goes to the introduction. When you're writing 1.0, please keep in the mind 1, full stop, 0. After 0, there would not be any full stop, but a space should be given. And the side heading always in bold, but the first letter of the word should be capital. The rest of the word should not be capital letters. What are the not capital letters? Every word, first word should be capital letter, and the rest of the words are small letters. I mean, continuation is. Except conjunctions, prepositions, and articles. And you say prepositions. What are the prepositions which are dangerous in the grammar? Of, on, but, below, under. These are all the prepositions. And when the prepositions are there, never write the preposition first letter in the capital letter. And the conjunctions, there are two types of the conjunctions that are there. Subordinating conjunction and coordinating conjunction. In the coordinating conjunction, it will be joined with the and subordinate conjunction, but when or some other thing where it is not dependent, it depends upon the main clause. So, coordinating conjunction and subordinating conjunctions, when such a conjunctions are there, you are not supposed to use the capital letter. And A and D is there. You are not there, you cannot write the A is a capital letter, N and D is a small letters. Then prepositions and conjunction articles. When you say the definite article is the, and indefinite article is a or an, depending upon the sound which will occur over there. And this a and an and these should not be capital letters. So this is the equation or definition of the writing the side heading. The way that you want to write, you cannot write. There will be certain formula, certain equation, certain theory, and that you have to follow it. When you are making the footnote, again keep in the mind, every footnote ends with the full stop. I repeat, every footnote ends with the full stop, decimal, dot, period. That is the rule. When you are tapping the internet sources, when you are mentioning the footnote, at that instant, you can write the URL completely, but don't try to keep the URL in the blue link or blue color. Make it change to the black. At the end, you can write within parentheses. I say parentheses. That means either you can say round bracket or you can say circle bracket. In the circle bracket, within parentheses, you write when you tap, for instance, accessed, within parentheses, accessed on today. What is the date today? 22nd. Okay. 22nd, what is the month? July. 22nd, 22 ND, July and don't keep any comma, but give the space and 2022 and the arrestor, that is the circular bracket ends, then close it and write the full stop. Because I told you every footnote ends with the full stop. So there are certain norms are there when to write full stop, comma, semicolon, colon. Of course, now we are in the modern world, we are not using the colon dash. Colon dash we are not using. We are using only colon to enumerate some of them below. And that is the style that we can adapt it. So if you go on making like that, there are different norms are there, different rules are there to write it. And always keep in the mind that don't mix the future tense, past tense, and past continuous tense, and so on and so forth. Use the simple sentences. And when the situation demands it, you can use for the complex sentences or the compound sentences. But compound complex sentences or complex compound sentences we should not be used over there because it leads to the havoc, chaos to the people, those who wants to read it, to understand it. So try to be in a simple language. And of course, jargons we try to avoid it. But in the legal terminology, yes, one should have to use it. Like I told you that king can do no wrong. Suppose if it is there, what is the Latin terminology? Rex potest non peccare. That is the king can do no wrong. Because origin is there, king can do no wrong, and the Latin terminology could be used over there, then we have to elaborate it in our work. So wherever it is necessary, the jargons or the Latin terminology, yes, we can use it, but the equivalent also should put it in the parentheses so that one cannot be perplexed. So these are the things which I want to make it out, but anytime it can stop it now. So in the research proposal, I made it the part 1, part 2, part 3, how to write it. I made it very much clear, and I wish that people will may enjoy it and can use it for their work and see that it should be error free. With this, I would like to say bye. Have a nice day. Indota Injema.